Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I have my top 10 of 2016. All right, coming in at number 10 is Everything We Keep. This is by Carrie Lonsdale, and this was a kind of a thriller contemporary, I guess you could say. We read this for a book club, and it was really, really good. It was one of those things that just had twists and turns, and you weren't expecting them, and you didn't know what was actually going on most of the time. And it follows a girl who is engaged, and her fiance ends up dying right before their wedding, to the point where they actually had his funeral on the day that was supposed to be their wedding day. So there were lots of twists and turns that happened in here. She's trying to find out if he's actually really still alive. She has suspicions that he is, and just the things that happened were just, I didn't expect a lot of it, which was really, really awesome. And the way that it ended killed me, because it was such a cliffhanger. It wasn't a cliffhanger like when the book ended, but there was an epilogue, and that was a cliffhanger, and I went, are you kidding me? I have heard that she is writing a sequel to it, so I think it might be trying to come out this summer, hopefully. So if there is, I will definitely grab that. She also does have another book that just came out in the past month that I have already downloaded on my Kindle, and I am excited to read that one as well. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'll leave a picture right here, but I'm excited to read that one. So she is another author that I want to read more from. Coming in at number 9 is Monsters, A Love Story, and this is by Liz Kay. This book was sent to me by the publisher in exchange for a review, and this one really took me by surprise. I did not think I was going to like this book as much as I did. This book follows a woman who is a poet, and she's actually only published one book of poetry. However, it has caught the attention of an Hollywood A-list actor, and he's part of the production team to make her book of poetry into a movie. So they bring her in as a consultant, and they form a very interesting relationship. It's a little bit toxic, but good at the same time. And I really found myself rooting for them, even though I probably shouldn't have. But you see them connect in a really positive way, but at the same time, the way that they conduct themselves is not very positive. So it was a really big back and forth. You know, should they be together? Should they not? Is this really good for them, or is it not? And it just really took me by surprise, and I really, really, really loved it. Number 8 is actually a comic book series, which is The Walking Dead, and I read the first, I think they're called compendiums, is that what they're called? I read the first really, really huge, like it was this big bind up of the comic books, and I absolutely loved it. And it was very interesting because the comics are so different from the shows. It's different in the fact that the characters go in different directions. A lot of the scenery and kind of the happenings are still the same. You know, they still go to the prison, they still do this, there's the governor, all that. That's as far as I've gotten so far. I just finished when they left the prison after the governor attacked it. But a lot of the characters take different turns. For example, Carol is not alive for very long in the comic books, but she's still alive now on the show. So that's, you know, a really big one. And just some of the relationships are a little bit different. So it's interesting to really see the differences between them, and to see the inspiration that was drawn from the comic books that was put into the show, even if it was done a different way. So it was really cool. And I only read the first one. There's 2 more out that are the big, huge bind-ups, and I want to read them as well. So I'm going to try to make that a priority in 2017, but I really loved them. Number 7 is I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh, and this book took my breath away. It was really surprising. It really shocked me. I spent the first half of the book thinking I knew what I was reading, and then kind of when that halfway point hit, I went, what? It was completely opposite of what I thought I was reading. Oh my gosh, it really surprised me, and I love it when books do that. That's why I like psychological thrillers, because they mess with your head and they have you thinking one thing, and then they, you know, take a twist and a turn, and there's quite a few twists in this one. So even when I went to the other way of thinking, I was like, oh, wait a second. And then something else happened, and it was just, oh, it was so good. So this book follows the hit and run death of a 5-year-old, I believe. I think it's a 5-year-old boy. He was hit by a car and died. That happened like within the first 10 pages of the book. And so you kind of follow the family, and you follow everyone involved in the accident, and also the police officers who are trying to investigate it, but it's kind of hitting a dead end, and you kind of just see how it all starts unfolding. And oh my gosh, it was just really, really, really well done. Just the fact that she could have me thinking one thing when it's complete opposite is just boom. I was like, what? So good. And this is another author that I 100% want to read more of. I actually have another book from her on NetGalley that I got approved for, and it's called I See You. So I will be reading that. I believe that comes out in February, and I will be reading that and reviewing it for you guys. But I am so excited to get more from Claire McIntosh. For number 6, I'm going to go with the Selection series by Kara Cass. I have not finished this series yet. I still have the last book to read actually, and then there's also a little bind up of novellas that I would like to get my hands on and read as well. And this series is a dystopian YA series, and it's basically The Bachelor in a royal setting. So it is a society where there is a royal family, and then there's other class systems of people, and they go by numbers. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I believe it's 1 through 7. So the higher your number, the better you are off in society. And in the past, they had done like a selection series for the king. So the king or the prince or, you know, whoever needs a bride will take applications from all of the women in their society. It doesn't matter what class system you're from, you can always apply. They choose the top 35 from all the applicants, and then they come in. It's kind of a bachelor style thing where they all live in the castle and they have to do certain things, and they go on dates with the prince and all this stuff. So we follow our main character, whose name is America, and she has decided to put in an application for it with the urging of her boyfriend, which was kind of weird. And so she ends up making the cut, and you kind of follow her journey through here to try to win the heart of Prince Maxim, but she also still has a boyfriend at home. So it's a very good love triangle as well. And the triangle was done really, really well. I don't always love triangles, but this one was well done. And yeah, I just flew through this series. Like I said, I only have one more book left to read, so I'm going to have to do that soon so I can get it done. But it's very fun. It's not phenomenal writing. It's not like the best book ever, but they're fun, and they had me really invested, and I just kind of sped my way through them. So that's why I'm counting it in my top 10. Number 5 for me is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I just read this past month for a book club as well. Oh, wow. Okay. This book is a mind trip, let me tell you. I don't want to say a lot about it because it's definitely a psychological thriller, and it does deal with abuse. So, but let me tell you, it basically follows the marriage of our two main characters, Grace and Jack, and they have an arrangement, and it's so unhealthy. Like, it's unbelievably unhealthy. And it's one of those things where Grace did not realize what it was until they were already married, and he had pretty much had her trapped. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. So unhealthy, but at the same time, oh man, ooh, that book. It will mess with your mind. So if that's something that sounds interesting, I would definitely pick this up. And B.A. Paris is another one that I want to try out more as well. I believe she has another book coming out maybe in May or June of next year, and I'm going to try to get my hands on an ARC if I can. But oh my gosh, ooh, it was good. Good one. And coming in at number 4 is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. And let me tell you, this is the second book in her Court of Thorns and Roses series. And I read the first one last year, and I liked it. I didn't completely love it. I had a lot of problems with the first one, but they all went away in the second one, let me tell you. I really enjoyed our main character, Feyre, a lot more in the second book. The first one, she drove me nuts, and I did not think she was a strong character at all. Or I felt she was trying to be something that she really wasn't, basically. And in this second installation, I liked her a lot more, and I found myself really rooting for her. I think she kind of was maybe put in her place a little bit and kind of realized that she can't do everything that she thinks she can do, basically, at least not without help. And oh man, new love in this one, let me tell you. I don't want to give anything away in case anyone hasn't read the second one yet, but it was really good. It took me about almost halfway through to really get to a point where I didn't want to put it down. It's a very long book. It's over 600 pages. So it took me a little bit to really get to a point where I could not put it down. But once I got to that point, I think I read half the book in like a day and a half. I was just, and that's really good for me. So, oh man, let me tell you. But if you're going to read it, chapter 55, I'm still thinking about it. And the third book in that trilogy, which is called A Court of Wings and Ruin, I believe. And I think that's going to be the end of the main trilogy. And I think there's going to be there's going to be more from this world. Definitely. There's going to be a coloring book, I think. And I believe that there's also going to be maybe some novellas that she's going to write. And I don't know if there's going to be like maybe a spinoff or anything like that. I'm not sure. But there's going to be more. But I think for the main trilogy, like the main story, there's only going to be 3. And that comes out in May. And I will definitely be picking that up ASAP. Okay, so number 3 is going to be kind of a 3-for-1 because it is not only a brand new author that I read this year, new to me, but I read 3 of her books and I am 100% on this train. So I'm going to talk about Colleen Hoover here. So I read 3 of her books this year. I started out with Hopeless and I absolutely loved it. I also read Ugly Love, which I adored. And then I recently read It Ends With Us, which... this is one of the best books I've ever read, let me tell you. I just absolutely love her. She writes adult contemporary and just, oh, wow. Wow. I finished one of her books. I'm just left like with so many feelings, and some of them I'm not sure how to process, especially for this one. This one deals with spousal abuse, but oh man. And she does everything really, really well. She does leave you guessing on where these characters are going to go because you don't know what kind of decisions they're going to make. And it just makes you sit there and go, what are you going to do? Sometimes they do what you want. Sometimes they don't. And it was just, oh man. And she tries to make sense out of things that shouldn't make sense at all. And that's very interesting to me. So I am 100% on the Colleen Hoover train. I want to read everything that she writes. I'm going to be working on that in 2017 as well. And I just absolutely adored everything I read from her, and I just cannot wait for more. And coming in at number 2 is You by Caroline Kepnes, and this book is a trip, let me tell you. This book follows our main character whose name is Joe. Joe is a stalker. You see him stalk women, and not only do you see him stalk women, you see it from his perspective, which is so incredibly creepy. Oh my gosh. Being in the head of somebody like Joe is just, it completely messes with you. It really, really does. Because you see him thinking through his actions and you see him rationalizing it. And in some of the cases, I was rationalizing it too because I'm seeing where he's coming from and I'm seeing why he's doing these things. And some of them started to make sense to me. And I was like, no, this is bad. This is bad, Joe. Turn around and go home. But I understood why he was doing it at the same time. So it really just messed with me so badly. There is also a sequel to this called Hidden Bodies, and I actually did a series review on this. I don't know if there's going to be any more. The way that Hidden Bodies ended, there definitely could be more. So I hope that there is because I would like to see how it continues. But I will leave my series review link down below if you guys want to check it out. But I absolutely loved this book and just, it's going to be in my top 10, like of all time probably. And number 1, the best book that I read in 2016 is very easily one of the best books I've ever read of all time. It's like probably number 2 on my list behind Harry Potter. Like that's how good it was to me. And that is Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. I adore this book. This book is a historical fiction and it is a retelling of the book of Hosea from the Bible. So it follows our main characters, Michael, Hosea, and Angel. And Angel is a prostitute in the 1800s, and Michael is in her city doing some business and he sees her on the street and it's like instant love. It is 100% and it's God talking to him saying, this is your wife. You need to get her out of here and take care of her. So he does everything he can to get her out of her situation and to marry her and to bring her to live on his farm with him. However, she is so stubborn, this woman, and she does not want to go. She's like, you're crazy. I'm not going anywhere with you. And she has a very, very hard childhood growing up, which has led her into this type of profession. So she really feels very helpless when it comes to men and making decisions about men. So she decides just to use her body against them, basically. And that's why she's in that business. And oh my gosh, let me tell you, this piece of work is the absolute epitome of true love. Like true unconditional love. The things that Michael goes through for her is just insane because she is the most difficult person on the planet probably to put up with, and he does it. And just to see them, you know, pull apart and come back together and pull apart and come back together so many times, and to see the way that he loves and respects her regardless is just goals. This book was beautiful. It is beautifully written. The story is beautiful. I adore it. I'm going to read it over and over again, I'm sure. I 100% know that I'm going to reread it. And when I read it, it wasn't like a speed read for me. I took my time and I just devoured it, and it just, oh, it changed my heart. It really, really did. So not only did I absolutely love it this year, but I love it for all time. And seriously, it's right underneath Harry Potter for me. It's in between Harry Potter and To Kill a Mockingbird. All right, guys, that's it for me. Those are my top 10 books that I read this year, along with some authors that I am so excited to read more from in the coming years here. Let me know down below what your favorite books were that you read this year. Give me some recommendations based on what I read this year that I really loved. If there's anything similar that you think I would like, leave me recommendations down below. I would love to check out some of those. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day.